Good morning.
How's it going?
It is it is okay.
All right.
I am trying to get screen situated. I don't know why this little piece of information doesn't stay in my brain, you know? Like
That's a lot of information.
like a muscle memory. My brain's like, I don't want this. No, thank you.
I have certain things that I do for my many jobs that I have to do like once a month or once a semester, and I have to look it up every time because it's like there's just too much stuff.
Let's see who else is in the room. Yay. Mid, mid. I might ask Vanessa to share the slides since she's here, which will make my screen make more sense to me. How was your holiday?
You know, it's a holiday. I mean, it wasn't bad, but you always think that you're gonna have more time to do stuff than you actually do.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't bad at all. How about you?
Same. I said I was going to do a million things, and then at some point I was like, I'm just going to sit on this chair. This is okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it took a couple of days to get there in my head, when you're like, but I could be doing this, and there's that closet that I was gonna clean out finally.
Yep.
Closet didn't get cleaned out. Nothing happened. It's okay. Hey Vanessa, hey Fung.
Morning. And
Um,
that I was also gonna organize all my books and do all these things, and I did not. I was parallel for a lot of it.
it's okay though. It's okay. Hey Vanessa, would you mind sharing the slides today so that I can see everyone?
How do I do that?
I will send you the link to the slide deck. It's
Okay.
just a slides thing. Um,
And I'm able to share my screen, correct?
you should be able
Okay.
to. Let me make sure. Okay, you definitely should be able to now.
Okay.
And here's the
I have
link.
the garbage on my desktop. Let me see.
The slides. There's not many, and it's really just kind of a recap of slides that we've shared in the past.
Okay. Oh,
Figured we'd do just the tiniest recap of the overall structure of the program and then just leave as much time as possible for open questions. So there's only, when you open it's going to say it's got 26 slides, but most of them are hidden. There's only like 6 or
I'm
7.
just gonna double check that this is all working correctly. And then I just go slideshow, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Perfect.
And then you're just gonna prompt me when I need to go to the next, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. If you'll scroll through just a few of them here, keep going. Keep going. We'll just do intros there. I'll talk through this part just really quickly. Keep going. Same thing here. We've covered this portion on every of the information sessions, but never hurts to recap. Keep going. One more. So once we get to here, if you want to stop sharing, I'll pull up the actual submittable page at that point and figured we could just do a quick scroll through so people can see what the application looks like in case that prompts anyone to ask a question about a specific problem that they're having with the platform itself. But I figured there too, I don't think that there's really any specific need to spend too much time on that. And then the last slides after that are just reiterating the different application support options, the key dates, and then we'll just go into the Q&A. I can't
Yeah.
imagine that front end will take more than 20 minutes tops. You are muted.
When's the next info session? Because there's 3 total, right?
This is our last one.
Last one. Okay.
Mhm.
JK. I thought I saw in the because I was reviewing the guidelines. I thought I saw a third, but that might be me. Let me check.
This is the third one. There was the December
Right.
14th one that was like
Clearly.
weird right before holidays.
Yeah,
I
not
think
all
there's
here.
questions there though.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
I think half of the people who came to that second information session have draft applications in. So
Perfect. Yeah.
look at
All right,
yesterday.
I'm back today. I was still out yesterday, so my brain is still like, hello.
That was me yesterday. Like I couldn't figure out where anything was for
Yeah.
so long. Like I would just have to sit there and like, okay, what
Right.
folder would I have put this in?
Yeah, that's me today, which is probably not great for an info session, but I'll snap back into it once we start. But yeah, something between like coming back in the cold. I don't know why both is like, where am I? What am I doing? Yeah.
No,
So.
for sure. Like my feet are cold right now. I actually broke out like a little space heater and I keep getting distracted because my feet are cold. And we have one person in the waiting room. They can just hang out. Yeah, and I will try to shut up a little today. I think if like more technical end things come up, I'll make a point of stepping in there. But I think a lot of the questions may be kind of bigger picture. Yeah, kind of let y'all respond. And I really think we're gonna have more time than we need today. So I feel confident that we can be pretty conversational and like take our time answering people's questions. My thought was to just let people know that, we're going to do a quick overview, but then afterwards, we're just going to open it up and, if people are welcome to use the raise their hand function or just bring their voice into the room, type into the chat, whatever feels comfortable, because I don't think we're going to have like hundreds of people. I'm assuming we're going to have like a handful of folks that have questions.
Mhm.
Hi there.
Morning.
Michelle, I was just mentioning, we're just going to do like a super quick run through of, it's just select slides from the presentations we've done in the past, just to do as like a super quick recap.
Okay.
I think slide 3 is the slide with all of our names on it. So just take a, pause so that we can all say hello to the room.
Okay.
I don't think going through the slides will take more than 20 minutes
Okay.
tops. And then leaving the rest just open for discussion, Q&A.
Okay. Just the same format, right? Like I'll do the Q&A at the end, just ask people request if they have any questions, right?
This time I think I'm gonna let folks know on the front end that,
Mhm.
we're just gonna open it up and
Okay,
you're
cool.
welcome to do raise hand, just ask a question, throw it in the chat, whatever feels comfortable.
Okay,
Um,
perfect.
and I don't know, what are y'all's feelings on while the slides are up? Do we want to be spotlighted? Or do we just want to keep it casual and just let it pop us up as we're speaking during the slide share? Do y'all have a preference?
I don't have a preference.
Mhm.
Okay, we'll just let it go then, because that's one less set of mechanics to worry about.
Right.
Michelle, is this your first couple of days back in the office too?
My first day back.
Nice.
So it's a little chaotic. Yeah, we had to meet today because everybody was finally back in the office. So yeah, so thank y'all for letting coming a little late.
Of course.
Want to
Yeah,
make sure I don't have any, do I have anything on the slides that I will be speaking on? I'm sorry if I missed something.
No, the slides are
great.
just like total recap of past slides. I'm just going to go through them
Right.
super fast because it's nothing that folks haven't heard before.
Yes.
The only parts during the slides where y'all are speaking is just to introduce yourselves. And then once we're through the slides, I will back off and let y'all field the questions and I'll just, chime in if there's something really technical.
Okay. Sounds good.
Good morning, Hank. We have about 3 people in the waiting room. None of whom I think currently have applications in, so that's good. I think we have 6 completed and if I remember correctly, something like 14 or 15 drafts right now. And there are a couple of folks that I've spoken with who do not currently have drafts in. One of them is in the waiting room. So, and I think we had low-key discussed the possibility of, if we don't end up with enough organizations to hit the 24 mark, that we could scale down to 20 organizations. That would be just fine. I think we really just need an even number to make this work. Vanessa, do you want to go ahead and pull up the slides? Let me make y'all co-hosts just in case. And there's a couple of names in the waiting room that I've never heard before, which is also very nice. Y'all okay for me to go ahead and let folks in? Here we go. Good morning, welcome. Happy New Year.
Good morning.
Thank y'all for joining us on a early Tuesday morning, which I think is the first day back in the working world for many of us, if not the second or third day back. So hope everyone had a great holiday, is coming back refreshed, has had time to sleep, to eat, to sit on a chair and stare, all of the important things. I'll just give it 1 or 2 minutes here to see if anyone else is joining us before we dive in this morning. There we go. Just a note that this session will also be recorded and will be posted to the program webpage in a couple of days as well. There are also 2 other information session recordings on the BANF program page in case you have questions or want to review any of the prior sessions. Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is the 3rd information session for the Arts Education Peer-to-Peer Mentorship Program, which is a new initiative that BANF is launching in 2025. And this morning's information session will be more of a workshop setting. We're going to leave a lot of room for discussion, questions. This is a great day to get into the weeds if you've run into any specific questions on your application, or if you just have questions about the requirements, the expectations within the project. We will definitely get into all of that. But before we do that, we will spend just a few minutes going through a brief overview of the program to date. We will additionally share a few resources, including the guidelines document, which has a ton of information. And I highly recommend, if you have started the application or some way through the application, if you haven't reviewed the guidelines document, there's lots of really helpful information, not just on the technical end, but also thinking about crafting your narrative and just getting a better sense of what the program entails. So we'll go ahead and dive in this morning. Let me go to the next slide, please. So we'll do a overview of the program itself. We will talk about the application components. We will talk about the review process for the applications. All of that will be pretty brief, but I do ask that if you have questions along the way as we're going through the brief overview, please feel free to use the raise your hand function, throw something into the chat, or just bring your voice into the room. This will be very casual and conversational. Go to the next slide. Thank you so much. So my name is Epi Chaud. I am serving as the program manager for the Arts Education Peer-to-Peer Mentorship Program. Much like any of BAMF's initiatives, the work is truly driven by the community. And in this case, we have brought together a design team of individuals, arts leaders in our community that have very specific and unique perspectives on the arts education field. And 3 of them are with us this morning to help guide us through this workshop. So I will pass it over to Sebastian to introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sebastian Bonsi. I am a local writer, a photographer, and educator. I've been in education for 2 decades at like every level. I've been lucky enough to work with BAMF, pretty much since the beginning in different capacities. And right now, obviously, part of the design team with everybody you're meeting here today. Thank you. Michelle?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Michelle Tovar. I am currently the Director of Education at the Buffalo Soldiers National Museum, but I've been in the museum world for over 10 years in museum education. I'm also part of the BAMF Accountability and Advisory Council, and really excited to be a part of this project and looking forward to the outcomes of this incredible work. Great to meet everybody.
Good morning. My name is Fung Ha. I'm the Senior Education and Outreach Manager at Asia Society Texas. I've been with Asia Society for about 5 years now, but before working with Asia Society, I worked at a literacy nonprofit where we published students 3rd through 12th grades, and I entered Houston classrooms all over. So I got to work with a lot of different educators and continue to do so at Asia Society. And I'm really excited to be a part of the design team and to learn more about the different organizations that are here this morning. Thank you.
Also, like to take a moment to acknowledge that we have the most amazing support folks helping us through this entire project. I'd like to acknowledge Vanessa Minokian and Hank Hancock, who are making all of the things happen in the background and supporting not just us, but all of you throughout this program. We move on to the next slide. So a little bit about the Arts Education Peer-to-Peer Mentorship Program. This program was spurred forward by a year-long project back in 2023 that was supported by BAMF that brought together arts leaders from across the city to do a deep dive on where we are as BIPOC arts organization, BIPOC-led organizations, and how we're engaging with the field of arts education, and to not just map what barriers are existent now, specifically now, not just the barriers that we've faced in past, but really thinking through changes that might have happened to the landscape for a variety of reasons, not just the pandemic, not just changes to the district level, but the greater landscape as a whole. But also to spend some time thinking about the assets that currently exist and what we are bringing to the table when thinking about arts education. I will note that when we are talking about arts education in this specific program, we're really looking at K through 12 engagement. But one thing that came up in the landscape exploration project was a deep interest in arts education, the K through 12 piece, living within that greater scope of arts education, thinking of that K through grade model where, the arts should be touching our communities at every step in our lives. Things that came up for us in that exploration project included a lack of access, a lack of capacity to build networks because we are so deep in the work that we often don't have the time to make the connections with our peers, our colleagues, or if we do have those connections, that oftentimes they're surface level and we're not given the space to develop deeper relationships. And deeper relationships lead to collaboration, which we all have seen many times in our community. So this program was designed based off of the findings from that exploration that lasted for a year. We can drop the link to the report from that exploration project here in just a moment as well. But we came together with the design team and built out a program that is an 18-month peer network experience. We are looking for a total of 24 organizations to work with during this 18-month process. Each organization will be provided with a $10,000 participation stipend that those dollars are unrestricted. The peer network experience includes quarterly meetings with the full cohort with the opportunity to design what those quarterly experiences are. We really want to build an experience that is pushed forward by the needs of the organizations within the cohort and what capacity building means for each of those organizations. Additionally, we are looking at facilitated mentorship pairing. So each organization that is accepted into the cohort will be paired with another organization within the cohort based on their specific needs in this moment, as well as what their strengths are and what they're bringing to the table, in the hopes that those mentorship pairs are both learning and teaching along the process. When we think about what learning and teaching means, that is so broad. We are looking at a focus on that K through 12 arts education space, but we know that K through 12 arts education takes a lot of work beyond what's just happening in the classroom. So we're talking broad spectrum. What does it mean to support teaching artists? What does it mean to build impactful curriculum? What does it mean to build sustainable programming? And what does it mean to fund said programming? There's lots of spaces where organizations all around us have these strengths. So we're hoping that we can learn from one another. Those mentorship pairing engagements will actually be facilitated. We have a group of arts administrators, educators, and artists, all wearing many hats, who are serving as the facilitators for those mentorship pairs. So you'll work with your designated facilitator to set metrics for success for your own mentorship pairing. No two pairs will be doing exactly the same work. It will be more about accountability within your pair. And then we'll ask that the pairs open and share freely during the full cohort experience. So this as well. Additionally, there will be technical support workshops. Those technical support workshops will be available to all of the cohort, but those are also available to any organization within the city of Houston that's interested in supporting and developing their arts education programming offerings. Those technical support workshops will bring in subject matter experts to give deep dives into specific areas where we within the community might need support. Simple things like classroom management, some base level TEKS alignment and curriculum development, things that will help organizations have and build better relationships with campuses when they're talking about building out programming. But we've only actually determined a small starting number of the topic areas for those technical support workshops. Our hope is that the cohort, again, will be able to inform the direction in which we move for those technical supports, making sure that we're being as responsive as possible. In addition to the 18-month peer network experience, the mentorship pairing experience, the technical supports, we will also be opening the opportunity for additional direct program funding. That direct program funding will be an additional application that is only open to organizations within the cohort for $10,000 worth of direct program support for programming in the 2025-2026 academic school year. That programming does need to be focused on K through 12 student impacts, but there is leeway, and we are thinking broadly about what that could mean and what kind of collaborations that could entail, including working within, around, and in conjunction with campuses in the Houston area. And of course, along the way, we will also be tracking our success and learning from everyone that's part of the process. So there will be evaluation strategies along the way so that we can learn and share what's come out of this 18-month experience. I will go ahead and drop the link to the guidelines for the application into the chat here. And Vanessa, can we move on to the next slide? So eligibility for this program includes asking that organizations that are applying have a history of BIPOC leadership and currently have leadership. Is the programming intended only for school campuses? Not necessarily. There is room to work outside of direct of programming that only works in school. I think that some of that will be built through the conversations that happen as the cohort comes together. One of the things, and Michelle, can I actually tap you to talk a little bit about some of the work that came out of the exploration project and our findings about thinking about bigger picture community?
Right.
Well,
Can y'all hear me? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Some of the work that was highlighted in that experience was the fact that we had many groups that came from different creative backgrounds that all focused on the fact that we know that children K through 12 are our, main audience, but we know that in school hours aren't necessarily always the time framing that's best for them. And so we did work around the fact that we could do evening, weekends, things like that, programming centered around that. But a lot of our work was centered on how do we connect to the community through mental health services, and in the same framing of bringing in the arts through that. So we ourselves have to be adaptable, right, to our communities, our audiences, to understand what works best. And I think what came out of that was that we felt that the organization needed to be flexible, but also, understand that every group is different, and every organization that's working with a certain community might have better outcomes in the school hours, but the flexibility is important. Does that work with what we're doing, Epi?
I think so.
Thank you.
Thank you for kind of elaborating there. So along with eligibility, along with having BIPOC leadership and a history of BIPOC founding, we are also looking for organizations that you don't have to have a primary focus of arts education, but arts education does need to align with the organization's mission, vision for the future. We want to acknowledge that organizations that are applying for this program may be at different stages in their relationship with arts education, and that is perfectly okay. We're just as excited about the organization that is just dipping their toe into the world of working with K through 12 students, but has been invested in education and sharing through other programming, as we are for the organizations that have been doing in-school residency work for 30 years. There is room to learn from all, I think, in this particular setting. Organizations that are applying should have 501c3 status, or can be tribal communities, or can be fiscally sponsored projects. If you have specific questions around your status, please feel free to reach out to BAMF directly, and we can have a discussion. We can also answer those questions towards the end of this session. Additionally, when we're thinking about that 501c3 status, the fiscally sponsored projects, we do ask that the organizations that are applying be arts focused. And that should mean that, or that means that a primary portion of the programming that you're presenting is arts focused. Additionally, we are looking for organizations that do have the organizational capacity to participate in the full cohort experience. We are asking that each organization make sure that they are sending at least one person to each of the meetings. Now, as we dive into the application, you'll see that we're asking for multiple contacts within an organization, because we fully acknowledge that one person often cannot come to every single meeting, especially when you're thinking about a long-term engagement. But beyond that, the idea that we don't necessarily want just one voice from an organization. We'd like to not just hear from organizational leadership, program directors, but we'd love to have coordinators come to technical support meetings. We'd love to have teaching artists in the room to share their voices. Part of the idea of building capacity in this format is the idea that we're building institutional knowledge and institutional capacity. And lastly, organizations have to be located in the 9-county region of Greater Houston. Any questions about eligibility before we move on? And we can also always take more questions at the end. Can we go ahead and move on to the next slide? So the characteristics of organizations that are a good fit for this program. We're looking for organizations that have a history of transformative support to the BIPOC arts ecosystem in Houston, and thinking big picture, supporting artists, organizations, and communities of color in that 9-county Greater Houston area. We are looking for organizations that have a specific interest in building organizational capacity for developing arts education programming. And again, we're thinking in the lens of K through 12 here. Organizations that are open to teaching and learning from peers, and collaborating with organizations and institutions across the landscape. Go to the next slide. We're also looking for folks who share some specific values around knowledge sharing. We are looking for folks that are combating gatekeeping within the field. We are looking for folks that are willing to experiment in the learning process. We are all growing together. We're looking for folks that have a commitment to beneficial collaboration and building deep relationships within the community. And most importantly, we're looking for organizations that are dedicated to holding space for students to experiment, to play, to learn, to connect with one another through the arts. And of course, prioritizing that the impact of arts education on the student must be part of every step in this process. You move on to the next slide. So the application itself is hosted on the Submittable platform. There are 7 sections, and I think we'll stop sharing here for a moment, and I'll go ahead and pull up the application on Submittable. Let's see. Is that working for y'all? You'll see that? Okay, great. So if you have never used Submittable before, it is free to set up an account. And we will also share a guide to using Submittable in the chat here in just a moment. The first section is the organization and key people, some basic information around your organization, the organization's website, digital presence and social media. I'll note that this portion, the website and digital presence and social media, may actually be really helpful for panelists for organizations that don't have a long history of arts education when it comes to the K through 12 space, because the panelists will be able to get a better sense of the organization's greater approach to arts education and to connecting with the community there. We'll ask questions around your 501c3 status or your fiscal sponsored ship status. And here we get into the contacts. We ask for a primary contact person, typically organizational leadership. We will ask along the way what portion of this person's role is dedicated to arts education. This does not necessarily count for or against, but it's just informative for us. A secondary contact person, this could be a program director, a program manager, someone who is deeply involved in the programmatic end of things. It could also be a teaching artist. And the third contact, again, could be a program coordinator, could be a teaching artist, but someone in the organization who is keyed into delivering program and would benefit from this form of networking. The second section goes into arts education alignment, the simple organization's mission, vision, and value statements, and then some time and space to think about how arts education fits into your organization's mission. This, again, is a great place if you don't have a long history of K through 12 arts education engagement to talk about visioning for the future. Then we get into the peer-to-peer mentorship portion of the application. We're really looking for you to deep dive into how you think this particular opportunity would help build capacity within your organization. We're thinking of kind of the long-term scope of building out impactful programming for K through 12 students. And then we just ask you to spend some time thinking about what strengths you're bringing to the table that you would be willing to share. Is it that you have someone on the team that is just fabulous at building lesson plans? Building lesson planning can be a little bit of a hurdle when you're first getting started. So it's, the smallest things and the biggest things are important here. And then what you'd like to learn through this experience. Is it about building relationships with campuses? Is it about how to onboard teaching artists? It can be anything. It can be think broad, think narrow, and please be as open and forthcoming as you can here. The next portion is framed around connections in the community. We ask that you give a brief description of up to 3 organizations or institutions with which you're already connected through arts education, collaborations or partnerships, and how this has affected K through 12 students. And here again, I'll make a note for those organizations that don't have a long history of working with K through 12 students. You can think broadly here as well. Do you have public programming that has had a very specific impact on younger audience members? You can think about relationships that you have built with organizations that do have K through 12 programming and how you've leveraged that in the past. So it doesn't have to be a very specific program. It's more about the relationships that you're building. And then we ask you to take some time to think about 3 organizations that you would be interested in being paired with. Now, I'll preface this by saying this program, again, is for BIPOC founded and BIPOC led organizations. So I would urge you to think about the structure of the organizations that you're naming here. I'll also note that those organizations may not apply, but it helps us to get a better picture of what you're looking for in that mentorship peer-to-peer experience and how the program might best support. And we ask that for cohort engagement that you just acknowledge that you are committed to having a representative of your organization at the bi-monthly, peer-to-peer mentorship meetings. Those are more low touch. Those can be Zoom, those can be at a coffee shop, those can be set up however your peer mentor organization and your facilitator choose to engage. Participate in 3 of the altogether cohort meetings and attend a minimum of 4 of the technical support sessions. Those technical support sessions will be held in person and virtually, so there'll be flexibility there as well. And then we kind of get into just more of the background information about your organization. Naming your authorizing official, naming your EIN, your organization's primary location. If your organization does not have a brick and mortar, this would be the information that you have on your tax paperwork. And then there is a short chart about organizational leadership. This also helps panelists get a sense of the organization as a whole and also your capacity. How many folks do you have that are supporting this work? Proof of residency can be uploading anything from official mail, utility, bill, lease agreement, insurance. If you have questions about that portion, please feel free to reach out. And then we will ask what county your organization is located in. And if you are working, so the section 7 is actually not shared with the panelists. This is just information gathering for Banff, and it's just some demographic information. So fairly simple questions here. And I'll reiterate that is not going to be shared with the review panel and will not be part of the decision-making process. And then that is all. As you're working on this, you can save your draft and come back to it as many times as you'd like. And then when you have completed the application, you can submit. I'll drop a link in the chat here in a second. There are some notes in the submittable guide that Hank has so generously put together around how you can collaborate on a application in submittable. So, you're welcome to bring other voices from your organization into the space. Stop sharing. Vanessa, can we pull the slides up one more time? We'll just cover the key dates and other support mechanisms that are in place. So this is the last of our information sessions. Banff has a pretty robust support structure for all of their applications. So on support.houstonbanff.org, there is a support desk where you can submit questions, and those will be answered and posted so other applicants can access them as well. We are also available via email. So if you have questions about the application process after this session, as you're moving towards the deadline, you're welcome to reach out. If one of us doesn't have a question, we will gather as the design team and address the question as needed. And then questions that are coming in via email are also being posted on the FAQ page, as long as it's not very, very specific to an organization. If it's broad and useful, we will be sharing it with everyone. The guidelines have been dropped into the chat already. And then can we go to the next slide? Just a brief overview of the dates for the program. The application closes next Monday at 11:59, close of the day. We will move into application review from January 15th through February 15th. The applications are going to be reviewed by the design team in this particular opportunity. After February 15th, the recommendations from the design team will go to Banff leadership for approvals, and you can expect notification about your application in late February 2025, and we will be launching the cohort in March of 2025. And I believe that is the close of our slides. We wanted to leave as much room as possible for your questions, your thoughts. So we'll invite you to, You can use the raise hand function. You can just unmute yourself, bring your voice into the room. You can drop your questions into the chat, and we're happy to discuss anything that is on your mind.
Good morning. Quick question. Repeat. Good morning, Epi and everybody. Yay. Love the room. Repeat. We can indicate organizations and the why we would want to couple with them, even if they are not applying.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for repeating. And then last question, the additional funding piece, what am I trying to ask? The optional funding piece that we can apply for later, those are going to be collaborations with people in the cohort, or you're able to do programming that does not collaborate with someone in the cohort?
Where we are currently, we've discussed both.
Okay.
We will be
That's
flexible
a
and
long
responsive.
time for now, but okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And it could be, I think when we're thinking about collaboration, it could be with your peer, your peer mentor pair. It could be someone else in the cohort. There's a lot of possibilities, and we want to stay open to that.
Thank you so much.
Other questions coming up for folks?
I will try to find and type in the chat. There was one question that said select all that could apply, but only one option. It only allowed me to select one option. So I'll try to find that question in the app and in the application and put it in the chat for you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. We can certainly address that on the back end.
Well, I just want to thank the team for being so available and making this opportunity accessible to our community. It's a very important component. Education is, and with the circumstances environmentally so pervasive, this is much needed resourcing material and opportunities. It's very encouraging.
Thank you for those sentiments, Michelle. We, during the exploration project, definitely found that, and I'll share that the exploration project was launched prior to the HISD takeover and continued after the HISD takeover, which allowed an opportunity to really think about what being responsive to the community right now means versus kind of the bigger picture scope of what arts education has been. And it was heartening to see how many people are doing so much amazing work in our city, but often in silos. And one of the things that we certainly found was that oftentimes we are doing work that has already been done or struggling to find a resource that a colleague, a friend may already have because we don't necessarily have the time and space to connect with one another and share those things. I think that Houston is specifically a very generous community. And when we actually have the time to get into a room together, we tend to be pretty open and giving, but it's the time to get together and to dedicate time to talk just about a specific thing like arts education and working directly with students that is often lacking. I might ask the design team if any of you would like to share any of your thoughts or hopes for this project, this program in our community. We have this time.
I think what would be really exciting to see is ideas that are open to last beyond the 18 months of the project. That might be something really exciting. Things will change during the participation, but to really look to build long-term partnership, and being open to collaborate beyond your peer would be really exciting for me to see.
As somebody who's worked contracts all over the city, um, I think that leadership is a way of leadership, but it'll be interesting to see if this facilitates uh, y'all's individual constituencies being aware of each other and the rest of the city. Because even as many of you are aware of each other and the good work that you do, it's like a lot of the people that you serve aren't necessarily aware of all these other organizations and what's going on in the other parts of the city. So, I'm looking forward to sort of the peer-to-peer facilitating this maybe.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think it'd be great to see how this impacts our K through 12 community, right? Our kiddos, and how they are empowered by this and how we can create leadership through them, right? So I really am looking forward to seeing how these collaborations can really empower our communities.
And I'll
What
add
oh, sorry. I
I'll
was
just-
just going to add, oh,
sorry. I just want to say a quick note about advocacy here. In a very, very specifically strange time, us banding together like this is a show of force when we are approaching schools, campuses, districts to show that we are serious, we are here, we are capable, we are qualified to support students as part of the greater, bigger picture rounded education. Sorry, phone.
yeah, no, I love that. Thank you for saying that. I just wanted to add that seeing what you want to learn and what you want to share with each other is going to be really interesting too. In terms of just analyzing like what we want to learn as a group or what things we're not thinking of individually as well. So I'm excited to learn about that.
Any questions? We are here to support through the application process. So I do highly encourage taking a look at those guidelines. Let me drop the link to the support desk. There are quite a few questions that have been answered there already. You may find something useful there. And then this is the link to the application on Submittable itself. If you have any technical issues with Submittable, you can also send those our way. We can help as much as we can there. And we will be available for support all the way through the 13th. There are no other questions. Shall we all gift ourselves back 45 minutes of our Tuesday morning? Thank everyone so much for joining us. We're excited to see so many people in this room, and excited to see the work that you're doing, and hope to learn from all of you soon. Thank you to the design team. Thank you to Vanessa and Hank for guiding us this morning. Have a
Thank you all.
You're welcome. Okay. That was a good turnout. I
I
feel like
can,
people have questions though that they weren't asking.
We answered all their questions.
Yeah. Epi, is there anything we can do with, during this last stretch, this last week, as people are submitting? Do you need support anywhere?
I am gonna try and send out by this evening, if not first thing tomorrow morning, the draft of the rubric for reviewing applications. So I think just really kind of deep diving into that document and thinking about and I'm modeling it off of past rubrics, but this is so specifically nuanced around K through 12 that, you know, I think we can build something unique here. So yeah, your thoughts there are super welcome. And then we meet again next Monday so we can talk through the rubric, and I'm just gonna make it like open edit and we can just all be in there being as messy as we need to be.
Okay.
And yeah, we'll fine tune it next Monday and then dive into reviews.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
And when I send the rubric, I'll also send the most current numbers on where we are with applications, drafts, and final. Okay, I think that's it. I'll follow up by email. Thank you all so much. This was
Thank
good.
you. Goodbye.
If I don't say this enough, it's really a joy to work with y'all.
Oh, Happy New Year. Oh,
Happy New Year.
have a great day. Bye.
hey, Epi.
Hey, Hank. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. I can let you know. You see, Armando is in the way, or maybe he just left. Armando Silva was and Jorge Garza both did not get to attend. We're hoping to attend. Just didn't get to for one reason or another. Eventbrite issues and whatever else. So I don't know if a reach out would be worthwhile or if just extra work.
No, I don't mind. I love them both. I'll give both a call today and just answer any questions they have. I think Jorge might already have an application going, but hasn't submitted yet. And I'm really hoping Armando will apply.
Yeah.
Feel like we need Mecca for a
Good.
variety of reasons.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Gosh. The other thing that I sent you an email about this, just and we can address it there. That I found that question that Rachel Dixon had pointed out, and it is a serious error in that question about which county are you doing the work in, and it's supposed to be a multiple response, and instead it is a single response. And I don't know if we have a good way of addressing that now, except by asking all of the applicants by email, submitted and draft, to send an email or something direct to info at, just to say, we messed up on this question, answer by email, name all of the counties. If I make any changes now, it's going to screw things up for applicants.
Well, okay, so let me look at where that is. So that is in the not going to panelists in the just demographic data gathering portion. Yeah, I think,
It is. It's concealed from review, and it's not a matter for review.
I suppose maybe I'm not that worried about it then. Maybe
Right.
this is a 6-step question because,
Yeah.
It's internal information. I think I would be more concerned if we were actually sharing that information with the panelists and that was part of their idea of the breadth of the organization, but maybe it's fine.
Yeah, I think it could be. I think that's a small scale issue, and we'll address it however we address it. That's good to hear. It makes my heart at ease.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, I was a little late to the game this morning. I woke up and was like, oh my God, I gotta log in.
No worries.
You look really well, and I'm glad you were able to get it up and running. I wasn't there for much support for you today, but
no worries. For whatever reason, it had completely slipped my mind. I think like vacation time just, wiped things. It's like, it just dawned on me. I was like, I have access to all the things. Why am I bothering Hank and Sixten in the morning? I have the passwords to all the things. So,
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did.
yeah, it's fine. It just took me a while to get there.
Cool.
It's fine.
All right. Well, let me let you go, and you know everything I wanted to share about everything that's going on, and we'll be in touch.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Take care. Bye bye.